Good evening, everyone. My name is Juliet Rorie, and I'd like to thank you all for being here. Tonight is a night where one voice, one story is used as a vehicle for many others. Every bottom line student has an important story to tell, and tonight you'll hear mine. Bottom line came into my life at the end of my junior year in 2006. I went to a small public school which encouraged us to search and apply for colleges. While my teachers were very helpful, Bottom Line provided me with a single resource to answer all the questions coupled with the confusion of applying to college. I've always been a planner, so naturally, I had a very short list of 15 schools to apply to. My Bottom Line counselor helped me cut that down to a better size of 7. I kept going to Bottom Line because all they wanted to do was help me get into college. Growing up in Dorchester, I've had my fair share of obstacles to overcome. Addiction and divorce left my family fragmented during my high school years. As I attempted to navigate through these issues, I felt lost and vulnerable. My Bottom Line counselor at the time, Claudine, called and emailed me a few times a week, not only to check up on my SAT and my FAFSA, but also to see how I was doing. I'm very particular with who I share myself with, and Claudine was one of those people from the start. Plus, she and I are both Jamaican, so we bonded naturally. By the time I graduated from Fenway Pilot High in 2007, I had been accepted to 4 schools, waitlisted at 2, and we won't talk about the last one. I was ecstatic, daydreaming of dorm rooms, roommates, and football games, and crunching for exams. I had done it, done what so many others hadn't or couldn't do. I knew then what Bottom Line had done for me, but I had no idea what they would do for me in my future. The weeks following my graduation would change my life in ways that I never imagined. Not even a month after I graduated from high school, I found out that I was pregnant. As I sat on the table in the clinic staring at my feet, I watched all my dreams of college life morphing into motherhood. Then the dreaded question, what are you going to do? It seemed obvious to most people. I was 18 years old, on my way to college, in the middle of one of the biggest transitions American adolescents face. Having a baby just didn't make sense. I don't know what made me choose what I did. Not religion, not politics, not pressure, just me. And I chose to be a parent. Thank you. What followed is what many of my friends refer to as Julie dropping off the face of the planet. And I sort of did go into hiding. Most people, including my family and my partner's family, were very supportive. But there were so many people who I couldn't bear to disappoint or to see their eyes drop with sadness at the thought that my life was over. So I didn't tell very many people. And I didn't tell my new or old counselors at Bottom Line. I was between counselors because I was supposed to be on my way to UMass Amherst. And I figured that no one would realize, and I would fall through the cracks. It was easy for me to ignore phone calls and emails from a counselor that I had never met before. But when Claudine called me and left a message saying that she heard I wasn't responding, I panicked. A few days later, I rehearsed what I was going to say and finally worked up the nerve to call her. We talked for a long time, and she convinced me to come down to the office and make a plan. I had already been accepted to the University of Massachusetts, Boston, so we both decided that it would be a great idea for me to go there. At the end of our meeting, I remember Claudine turned and looked at me and said, "Julie, I have another student at Northeastern who had a baby, and she's done really great. This does not have to be a bad thing for you. You just have to work hard." I knew she was right, but I was so glad that she said it. After I was enrolled, Claudine sent me off to a new school and a new counselor. I started at UMass Boston a little late, but not too late. I took 4 classes, kept in touch with my new counselor, Oneida, and I felt great. The following spring semester, I took off from school and had my son Julian on March 20th, 2008. The next hurdle that I faced was finding the motivation to go back to school the following fall semester. But once again, my counselor, Oneida, was there. No excuses were heard, and she did not allow me to fail or fall. There was no other option but success. I returned to UMass Boston, taking 3 classes, one of which met on Saturdays. I couldn't believe how natural it felt to be back in school. I knew I was where I needed to be. Since then, I have had so many triumphs and successes, it's hard to believe that this is my story. I've been able to travel, give back to my community, and develop my personality. Bottom line not only showed me opportunities, but pushed me to grab them. From Claudine to Oneida, to Erica, to Alex, to Malika, and to my man Skip, wherever you are, and to all the other people I've met at Bottom Line, thank you so much for always being there at the perfect moment. As I conclude my final semester at UMass Boston, I look back on that day in the clinic often, and it reminds me of a quote from one of my favorite intellectuals and writers of all time, W.E.B. Du Bois. The most important thing is this: to be ready at any moment to give up what you are for what you might become. I gave up the typical college life to become a mother, and being a mother is what has brought me to where I am today. Who would I be if Claudine didn't call me? What would I be doing if I never came back? I honestly have no idea. But I do know that with Bottom Line always in my corner, I was accepted into college. In a few short weeks, I will graduate with a Bachelor of Arts from UMass Boston in Africana Studies. And as a member of the 10th cohort for the Boston Teacher Residency Program, I have what it takes to go far. Thank you, Bottom Line, and thank you all. Good night.